gotten into Unit 5, Module 2. This unit will be all about polygons and symmetry. Okay, so before we start, I want to go over the answers to your home connection book pages 93 and 94. So for number 1, the measurement of angle A should be 155 and the measurement of angle B should be 25. For number 2, the measurement of angle A is 70 and the measurement of angle B is 110. Number 3, the measurement of angle A is 90 and the measurement of angle B is 90. Number 4, the measure of angle A is 58. The measure of angle B is 122. And for number 5, it says go back and add each pair of angle measures in problem 1 through 4. What do you notice? When you add them all up together, the sum is always 180. So you can see that together, angles A and B will always form a straight angle. All right? Okay, so now we're into Unit 5, Module 2, Session 1. This one is introducing parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so you will see that it says right here, angles checkpoint is in Seesaw. I shared an activity with you in your Seesaw math page, okay? So if you have not seen it yet, what I want you to do is pause this video. I want you to go to Seesaw, and I want you to complete the checkpoint. If for some reason you're having a hard time getting into Seesaw, for whatever reason, you can take a screenshot of this page and you can complete it and then you can post it into Seesaw, okay? That's what I would like you to do. You'll notice that there are only 5 questions, and the reason why is because the other questions had to do with using a protractor, and I know that I shared with you a printable protractor. However, some of you may not be able to print it and things like that, so we're only going to do the first 5 questions. All right, so the first thing you need to do is complete this activity in Seesaw or complete it here, post it into Seesaw, and then you can continue with this video. All right, here we go. All right, so this one is all about introducing parallel and perpendicular lines. In this session, we will learn about the terms parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular. Then we will learn about the game that will provide us practice building and drawing parallel and perpendicular lines. I'm very sad that we are unable to actually play the game. I'm going to show it to you anyway, and you can try and play it at home if you'd like to. However, we won't be able to play it together, sadly. Okay, so parallel lines are lines that are always the same distance apart. I'm going to highlight that, always the same distance apart. They will never cross or intersect. Okay, so if you were to make 2 parallel lines on a geoboard, which I wish you could do that right now, but we don't have geoboards with us right now, you could make 3 lines on your geoboard that are parallel. You will notice that parallel lines are always the same distance apart, no matter what. They will never cross, they run parallel to each other. You often see this on streets when you're walking, okay? If you cross over to the next street and then you turn, you're going the same direction that you were already going, okay? Parallel. So if you look at this picture, think about what you see. All right, well, there are 2 straight lines. The straight lines both have arrows at the ends. It doesn't look like they're going to cross each other. The lines kind of look like train tracks, okay? And it looks like the lines are exactly the same length. So, my friends, parallel means lines that are the same distance apart always. No matter how far you go on them, they extend forever and ever and ever in both directions, but they will never, ever, ever, ever cross each other, okay? Those are what parallel lines are. You could find parallel lines in multiple places. We could see them on the ceiling in our classroom when you look at the ceiling tiles or the beams that I hang artwork on. Those are parallel lines. You can see parallel lines on the tiles on the floor in the classroom. You can see parallel lines on windows. I'm looking at parallel lines right now in my house as I'm looking at the blinds that are in the kitchen. There are parallel lines everywhere on the backsplash of my house, the tiles. So if you look around, you will see parallel lines that will never cross, okay? And if you look really carefully at the word parallel, there is a pair of parallel lines inside of the word, okay? Moving on. All right, so here is the word card for parallel lines. Parallel. always the same distance apart. So here are just some examples. They can go in any direction as long as they're always the same distance apart. So you can see there are often parallel lines on shapes as well. So this line right here is parallel with this one. However, this line right here, if I were to go like this, and this line right here, you will see will eventually cross. So those ones are not parallel. They even form an X. X meaning, nope, not parallel. Okay, so there's parallel lines. Moving on, intersecting lines. Intersecting lines are lines that intersect or cross over each other. Okay, so here's an example. So if we had geoboards, we could make intersecting lines on our geoboards. Since we don't, you can take a look at this picture and think about what you see. I see that there are two straight lines. The straight lines both have arrows at the ends. The two lines are crossing over each other, and the lines kind of look like the letter X. Okay, so those are intersecting lines. They cross over each other. Okay. Here are some pictures of intersecting lines. They are simply lines that contain one common point. Common point, common point, common point, and common point. Those are intersecting lines. We also have what are called perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are special intersecting lines. Where they cross, they form a right angle. Okay, so you can see that these two lines right here, they are perpendicular. They do intersect. However, the special thing about them is that they form a right angle when they intersect. Okay, so if you look at this picture and think about what you see, there are two straight lines, right? And the straight lines both have arrows at the ends. The two lines are crossing over each other. When the two lines cross over each other, they form right angles. The lines kind of look like a plus sign, okay? So that's pretty awesome that they kind of look like a plus sign. Very different from looking like lines that are going to cross over each other and things like that. So yes, they are a plus sign, okay? And they definitely cross over each other. I'm sorry, I don't know what I was just saying there. Anyway, yes, so, all right, moving on before I confuse you some more. So here's our picture of perpendicular lines. You can see them on shapes as well. They're lines that form straight, perpendicular lines are lines that form right angles when they cross. Sorry, intersecting at right angles. Okay. All right, so I wish that we were at school so that we could play this dots and line game board. So to play the game, you'd be using rubber bands and geoboards. And you would have the spinner right here, okay? Here's the spinner. And you would want to get the most small square. So examples, squares without any pegs between their corners. I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. Each time a team forms one of those or more squares during their move, you mark those squares with goal markers on the team color. So you spin and it tells you what to do, all right? Now, if we were to be able to play the game, I'm going to show you what a game board would look like in the middle of a game and what a game board might look like at the end of the game, and you kind of see. You could play this at home if you wanted to by simply using this picture with a paperclip, spinning it, and kind of seeing where it lands and going from there. However, you don't have to just because it's difficult. So anyway, all right, looking at this box. Whoa, sorry everybody. Looking at this box right here. This is what a game might look like partway through the game. So you can see where the red represents the kids, and then the blue would represent Mr. R, who is the teacher of this fake class, okay? And you'll see how Mr. R, he crossed over right here, and so he was able to color this dot blue. That ended up being his dot. And then he was able to color this dot blue again, okay? Now, if you look over at this one for a minute, the end of the game, you can see that Mr. R has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dots, okay? And then you can see that the kids have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots, okay? So you can see you want to get the most of those dots. And what it said over here on the page, the previous page, it said squares without any pegs between their corners. So you can see the smallest squares they can possibly be without something in the middle of them, okay? So here are a few important rules to remember about dots and lines. The starting line has to go all the way across the board, either horizontally or vertically, okay? A rubber band can be placed anywhere on the board as long as it's oriented correctly with respect to the starting line. Now, obviously, we don't have geoboards, so if you wanted to play this game with a family member, you can simply use red and green markers or colored pencils to play the game, okay? 2 different colors. Rubber bands have to go all the way across the board. Again, we don't have rubber bands, but you can use your marker. The object of the game is to capture the most small squares. Squares that have pegs between the corners are not allowed. Remember to mark every square a team forms on a given turn, and count the squares captured by each team at the end of the game to determine the winner. All right, so Mr. R would have been the winner of this game, okay, had they actually played. So, again, if you want to play the game, this page right here is in your student book, okay, and the spinner should also be in the student book. If it's not, you can use this spinner right here, okay? And you can kind of go from there. All right, so you don't have to play the game, but if you want to, here it is. But what you do need to do is you're going to complete student book page 180. So you're going to fill in the bubbles in front of the words that describe each set of lines below, okay? And then you're going to explain your answer. Here is the example, okay? These are intersecting lines, so you can see that they filled in intersecting lines. How do you know? And this is how they know. These are intersecting lines because they cross. They are not perpendicular because they don't cross at right angles, okay? You're going to complete A and B, and you're also going to complete number 2. It says get a geoboard and some colored rubber bands and use them to make each of the designs described below. Then use regular and colored pencils to record your work on the sheet. Obviously, you can't make the geoboard part, but you can record your information on the sheet, okay? This is student book page 180. All right, the last thing that I want you to do for this lesson is you're going to watch the BrainPop video on parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so for homework, you're going to do student book page 180 and watch the BrainPop video about parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so after you watch it, I would totally encourage you to take the quiz. If you don't remember the username and password, it's PDStudent, which it is on the document as well, and students. Okay, my friends, just to recap what you need to do. First, you need to do that angles checkpoint, okay? Then you continue with the lesson, basically just reviewing. You can try and play the game if you want to, and then you're going to complete student book page 180, and then watch the BrainPop video on parallel and perpendicular lines, all right? That is your lesson for today, all right? Talk to you tomorrow.